The first time she asked me if I knew her, we were standing beneath an artificial sky. It shimmered above us in soft gradients of violet and indigo, stars flickering to life in programmed constellations. The dome of Horizon Station arched overhead like a god's protective hand, filtering cosmic radiation and projecting beauty in equal measure. Beyond it lay the real galaxy, vast, violent, indifferent. But inside the dome, the night was curated. Safe. "Do you know me?" she asked. She stood near the observation balcony, fingers resting lightly on the transparent alloy railing. Her dark hair drifted slightly in the low-gravity field, catching the starlight. She wore no insignia, no jewels, nothing that marked her as anything more than another civilian enjoying the station's simulated dusk. I laughed softly. "You're the most beautiful in the galaxy." It was reckless, unfiltered, the kind of line I usually kept to myself. I had been an engineer on Horizon Station for 7 years, maintaining the gravity anchors and shield arrays that kept 2 million people alive. Flirtation wasn't my specialty. Precision circuits were. She tilted her head. Her eyes reflected the artificial stars. "That's not what I asked." I felt heat rise to my face. "No," I admitted. "I don't." She studied me as if weighing my honesty against some unseen metric. Then she smiled, slow, almost relieved. "My name is Alara," she said. "Kale," I replied. "Structural systems engineer. Level 9 clearance, though that sounds more impressive than it is." "It sounds important. It just means if something breaks, I'm one of the people who panics first." She laughed then, and the sound cut through the hum of the station like a clear note in a noisy room. We talked for hours. About Earth, the cradle most of us had never seen. About the frontier colonies flickering on the edge of map space. About the rumors of an emerging threat in the outer spiral arm, a coalition of rogue worlds refusing to recognize imperial authority. She listened more than she spoke. When she did speak, it was often with questions, curious, probing, sometimes oddly specific. "What would you do?" she asked at one point. "If the Empire fell?" I shrugged. "Fix things somewhere else, I guess. Gravity doesn't care who's in charge." She smiled at that. "No, it doesn't." We met again the next night. And the night after. It became a ritual. I would finish my shift in the reactor core, scrub the metallic scent from my hands, and find her beneath the dome. Sometimes she would already be there, gazing upward. Sometimes she would arrive moments after me, as if summoned by shared gravity. I told her about my childhood on the mining moon of Callus Prime, how my father had taught me to rebuild thruster valves before I could read, how my mother had dreamed of Earth's oceans. She told me stories, too, but they were strange stories. Tales of courtrooms filled with floating banners, of treaties signed in zero-gravity chambers, of ambassadors who spoke in coded language and poison. "You speak like you've seen it," I said once. "Maybe I have," she replied. I thought she was joking. I didn't know she was the queen. Middle, the crown revealed. The revelation came not with ceremony, but with violence. 3 weeks after I met Alara, Horizon Station went into lockdown. I was deep in the lower engineering ring when the alarms began. First a distant pulse, then a full-spectrum siren that vibrated through bone and steel alike. Red lights flashed along the corridor walls. "External breach detected," the automated voice announced. "Shield integrity at 72%. I froze. Horizon's shields had never dropped below 95. My wrist console flared to life with emergency directives. All Level 9 engineers were ordered to Reactor Hub 3 immediately. I ran. The corridors were chaos, civilians herded by security drones, officers shouting into comm units, the air thick with fear. "Kale," someone yelled as I reached the junction near the lift shafts. It was Commander Eric Solon, head of station security. His usually immaculate uniform was streaked with smoke. "What's happening?" I demanded. "We're under attack." "By who?" He hesitated. "The Sovereign Coalition." My blood ran cold. The rumors were true. "They've never breached this deep into Imperial territory," I said. "They have now." Another explosion rippled through the station. The floor trembled. "Why?" I asked. Eric's jaw tightened. "They're not here for the station." Before I could question him further, a squad of armed guards rushed past us, heading toward the central tower, the administrative spire at the heart of Horizon. A terrible realization began to form. "She's here," Eric muttered. "Who?" He stared at me, eyes narrowing as recognition dawned. "You've been seen with her." "With who?" "The Queen." The word hit like a physical blow. "What?" "Her Majesty, Alara Valeries, sovereign of the interstellar empire." The corridor seemed to tilt. "That's not possible," I said. "She's just..." "Just what?" I saw her then, in my mind's eye, standing beneath the artificial stars. The way she listened, the way she asked about the fall of the empire. "You didn't know," Eric said quietly. "No." He studied me for a long second, then made a decision. "Then you're coming with me." "What?" "I'm needed in Reactor Hub 3. She's in the central tower. The Coalition's boarding parties are pushing inward. If they capture her, this war ends tonight." "Then protect her," I snapped. "That's the problem," he said. "They've neutralized most of the Royal Guard." My stomach twisted. "And you think I can help?" "I think," Eric said, gripping my shoulder, "that if she trusts you, you might be the only person who can get close enough." The central tower was a fortress of reinforced alloys and defensive grids. But the Sovereign Coalition had come prepared. Their boarding ships had latched onto the station like metallic parasites, drilling through shield nodes with surgical precision. We fought our way through corridors littered with debris and fallen drones. The sound of pulse rifles echoed in confined spaces. When we reached the royal chamber, the doors were sealed. Eric placed his hand against the biometric panel. It rejected him. "Authorization revoked," the system intoned. "By whose order?" he demanded. "By order of Her Majesty." Before he could respond, the doors slid open. Alara stood inside. But she was no longer the girl beneath the sky. She wore a suit of luminous armor, woven with energy filaments that pulsed like living veins. A circlet of silver rested on her brow, not ornate, but unmistakable. Behind her, holographic projections of star systems rotated slowly in midair. Her gaze met mine. "You came," she said. "You're the Queen," I whispered. "Yes." Gunfire echoed down the corridor behind us. "Your Majesty," Eric said urgently, bowing his head. "We must evacuate." She shook her head. "No. If I run, they win." "This is not about pride," Eric argued. "It's about survival." "It's about legitimacy," she corrected. Her eyes returned to me. "I asked you what you would do if the Empire fell," she said. "I remember. And you said gravity doesn't care who's in charge." I swallowed. "It doesn't. But people do," she said softly. An explosion rocked the chamber. The holographic star maps flickered. "They're breaching the inner ring," Eric warned. Alara stepped toward me. "I never meant for you to be involved," she said. "Meeting you was indulgent." "Was it?" I asked. A faint smile touched her lips. "Yes." "And no." Another blast. Closer. "Your Majesty," Eric shouted. She turned to him. "Prepare the emergency jump protocol." He hesitated. "You said you wouldn't run." "I'm not," she replied. but the Empire must endure. Understanding dawned slowly. "You're not leaving," I said. She looked at me, and in her eyes, I saw the weight of 1,000 worlds. "No," she said. "The emergency jump protocol was designed for one purpose: to transfer the Imperial Consciousness Archive, the neural imprint of the reigning monarch, into a secure quantum relay capable of transmitting across light years in seconds. The Queen's body could die. The Empire would not." "You can't be serious," I said. "They're just rebels. We can fight them." "They are more than rebels," she said. "They have allies within our own Senate. If they capture me alive, they will use me to fracture the core systems." "And if you die?" I demanded. "Then I become untouchable." The chamber doors buckled inward as coalition soldiers forced their way through. Eric drew his weapon. "We're out of time." Alara stepped closer to me. "I asked if you knew me," she said quietly. "I didn't," I admitted. "Do you know me now?" I looked at her, at the armor, the crown, the defiance. "No," I said. "But I want to." Her breath caught, just slightly. "Then remember me." Before I could respond, she turned and walked toward the central dais. The jump protocol activated. Energy surged through the chamber, arcs of blue-white lightning dancing along the walls. The coalition soldiers burst through the doors, weapons blazing. Eric and the remaining guards returned fire. I lunged toward her. "Alara." She glanced back at me and smiled. Light consumed her. Middle 2, after the fall. Horizon Station fell within the hour. The Sovereign Coalition seized control of the central tower, broadcasting a message across Imperial channels. The Queen was dead. The Empire had no heir. They were wrong. The Consciousness Archive had transmitted successfully, but the relay coordinates were classified beyond my clearance. In the chaos that followed, Eric and I escaped aboard a maintenance shuttle. Half the station burned behind us, fragments drifting into vacuum like dying embers. "She planned this," I said as we entered Slipstream. "Yes," Eric replied. "And you let her." "I serve the throne," he said evenly, "not the body that occupies it." I stared at the stars streaking past the viewport. I told her she was the most beautiful in the galaxy. Eric almost smiled. "You weren't wrong." The next year was war. Without a visible monarch, the Empire fractured. Several outer systems declared neutrality. The coalition gained ground, presenting themselves as liberators from imperial rule. But in hidden channels, a signal began to circulate, a quantum signature known only to the highest levels of command. The Queen lived. Her consciousness had been installed into a new host body, grown in secrecy on a fortress world at the edge of known space. And she had summoned me. I received the message in a dimly lit hangar on the planet Virex. Eric handed me a data shard without a word. "She specifically requested you," he said. "Why?" He shrugged. "Perhaps she wants to know if you still know her." The fortress world was barren, rock and iron beneath a storm-lashed sky. Deep beneath its surface lay the Citadel, a labyrinth of corridors and guarded vaults. I was escorted to a chamber unlike any I had seen. No holograms. No banners. Just a simple room with a single window overlooking a sea of stars. She stood there. Not in armor. Not crowned. Just Alara. "You came," she said. "Of course I did." She turned. Her face was the same, and yet not. There was something different in her gaze. Deeper. Older. "You look surprised," she observed. "I don't know what I expected." "This body is new," she said. "But I am not." Silence stretched between us. "Do you remember the dome?" I asked. "Yes." "The artificial stars?" "I remember every photon," she replied. A strange ache filled my chest. Then tell me, I said. Why me? She stepped closer. Because when I asked if you knew me, you answered honestly. That's a low bar for trust. No, she said softly. It's the highest. She walked past me, hands clasped behind her back. The Empire is changing, she continued. The Coalition exposed our weaknesses, our excess, our distance from the people we claim to protect. And I need someone who sees the galaxy without a crown. Realization dawned slowly. You don't just want an engineer, I said. No, she agreed. I want a reminder. Ending. A universe rewritten. The final battle did not take place in orbit of a glittering capital, nor above a throne world of legend. It happened in deep space, near the fractured remains of Horizon Station. The Coalition had consolidated their forces there, using the wreckage as a symbolic victory. The place where the Queen had died. Or so they believed. Our fleet emerged from Slipstream in a blaze of light. But this was not the same empire that had once ruled unquestioned. Alara had restructured command, dissolved corrupt senatorial blocks, and opened negotiations with neutral systems. We did not come as conquerors. We came as a reckoning. I stood beside her on the bridge of the flagship Resolute. No dome overhead. No artificial sky. Only the raw expanse of the galaxy. You're quiet, she said. I'm thinking about the first time we met. She smiled faintly. You were nervous. I had no idea I was flirting with the most powerful person alive. And now, I looked at her. Now I know you. Outside, the battle ignited, streams of light crossing darkness, ships maneuvering in lethal ballet. Alara did not bark orders. She listened to her admirals, to her advisors, to real-time civilian channels broadcasting fear and hope alike. When she spoke, it was measured. Disable, not destroy, she commanded. Offer surrender terms. The Coalition leaders refused. The battle raged for hours. In the end, it was not superior firepower that broke them, but fracture from within. Several Coalition captains, disillusioned by their own leadership's hunger for power, stood down when offered amnesty and representation in a reformed Imperial Council. The tide shifted. The flagship of the Coalition attempted a final, desperate maneuver, a collision course with a Resolute. Intercept trajectory locked. An officer shouted. There was no time. I ran to the engineering console, rerouting power from non-essential systems into the forward shields. The strain was immense. Circuits overloaded. Sparks flew. Kale. Alara called. Trust me, I replied. The Coalition ship slammed into our reinforced shields. Energy flared white-hot across the viewport. For a moment, everything was light. Then silence. The enemy vessel drifted, powerless. Cheers erupted across the bridge. The war was over. Weeks later, we returned to the site of Horizon Station. Reconstruction had begun. New frameworks extended from the skeletal remains, slowly rebuilding what had been lost. Alara and I stood together on a temporary observation platform, exposed to real space beyond transparent shielding. No artificial sky this time, I said. No, she agreed. This one is honest. She looked at me. Do you regret it? She asked. Meeting me? I thought about the war, the loss, the weight she carried. No, I said. Do you? She stepped closer. When I asked if you knew me, I was tired of being seen as a symbol, she admitted. You saw a woman beneath the stars. I saw someone who asked dangerous questions. She smiled. The Empire will change, she said. It must. I will not rule as those before me did. I know. She studied my face, searching. And you, she asked. What do you want, Kale? I looked out at the galaxy. vast, uncontained, filled with worlds that no crown could truly own. I want to build, I said. Not just stations, not just shields, something better. Then stay, she said. Help me build it, not as her engineer, not as her subject, but as her equal. Far below us, workers and drones labored together, forging new structures from old wreckage. The stars burned cold and brilliant. Do you know me now? She asked one last time. I took her hand. Yes, I said. You're the queen. She raised an eyebrow. I smiled. And you're the most beautiful in the galaxy. This time, when she laughed, it wasn't beneath an artificial sky. It was beneath the real universe, vast enough for empires to fall and for two people to find each other among the stars. And in that endless expanse, I realized something profound. She was not just the queen of the empire. She was the queen of my universe. And together, we would reshape the galaxy, not through fear or domination, but through courage, honesty, and the quiet gravity that binds hearts as surely as it binds worlds.